Welcome, Robert Geronimo, to Isekai, the convention online. We're here tonight to talk about the history of comics and storytelling in comics. So let us know about you and your credentials.
Hey guys, how are you? Happy to be here. So I'm Robert Geronimo. I'm the creator of the comic series Blood Realm, and I'm also a college professor where I teach the history of comics.
Awesome, awesome. And one of the questions I'm asking all the creators is, what brought you to storytelling? What attracted you so much to storytelling?
Mm. Well, comics in particular, or just storytelling in general?
Storytelling in general.
I just had an itch to create since I was a kid. I don't even remember when it started. I can say that when I first saw Clash of the Titans, the original,
Oh yeah.
I remember saying, "Wow, like this is just epic, and I need to make something like this."
Was it
So
was it all that
the
stop motion?
oh yeah, I absolutely adore stop motion animation. I think there is such an incredible charm to it, and when we make things too realistic, it almost makes it look mundane. The stop animation just has its own look and makes it feel fantastical. So fantastical storytelling is something I knew at that point that I wanted to do. I just didn't know how I would do it. I would just read a lot and I would just practice drawing over and over again.
Oh wow. See, I've got a few years on you, so I was a Clash of the Titans fan, like Sinbad, and there
Oh, and
was
the Seventh Voyage,
and the Seventh
yeah,
Voyage, and
all
it
that
was
stuff. I loved it all. Anything Ray Harryhausen.
yeah,
That was.
yeah, that stuff was great. It was on every Saturday, not every
Oh
Saturday, but
yes.
like yeah, like three times a year you get to see all of them. Tell us a little bit about your about how you feel about the hero's journey. Like that's a big part of storytelling is um, what they think that all stories are kind of all hero stories are told the same, and then about the what they call it, the man of a thousand faces, and how to tell a story about a hero.
How do I approach basically the hero's journey? Well, I think it's important to start with a character who you wouldn't think would be the hero. I think that's what's so attractive about the hero's journey. I mean, we look at Luke Skywalker, we look at Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah,
You
the
know, they're the,
unwilling
the
hero.
least right. They're the least likely of people to be the heroes of these journeys. But that's the appeal because in a way they're the underdog, and they kind of remind us of the average person, aspiring to something greater and grander. So you know I kind of approach that similarly, but sometimes I think it's fun, especially in Blood Run, when we occasionally see the bad guys win
Yeah,
because it raises the stakes.
absolutely. Well, it makes for a massive, almost like Star Wars. I mean, the they're always winning in Star Wars until they're
Right,
not, right? So
right.
it goes over movies and movies, and like we're on the third part of Blood Realm, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great series, by the way.
Thanks, man.
I'm a big
Thank you.
fan. Um, and I love where it's going. It's gone to a futuristic place now. It went
Yeah.
from dark medieval, like dark
Yeah.
fantasy to like what do they call that?
It's definitely
Technophage, like technology and
techno
fantasy.
fantasy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so great.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks, man.
yeah, the
Yeah.
artwork is. Whew,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
I
you.
and the choice of like as being a writer and the artist. There's
Right.
not a lot of guys that I felt through reading comics for 40 years now were very successful at it. I think you're very successful at it.
I appreciate that, Emmett.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I was a big fan of Mike Grell. I thought Mike Grell could do it. The story held up and the art held up. But a lot of
Right.
guys, they can't do both. Even
No,
if
they
they're,
they can't.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, they can't. And I had to make a lot of mistakes to figure out how to make it work because my lettering in the beginning, there was so many different drafts. Even the art, it's just really just not being afraid to just try different things. And that's even what I tell my students sometimes is like, listen, you're never going to get it right the first time. In fact, you're going to probably be terrible at it in the beginning. But I promise, every time you do it, you're going to get better and better. One of the things that my old teacher told me when I was taking drawing classes, he told me that it takes 1,000 bad drawings to make one good one. And he patted me on the back and he said, "You have 999 to go." But you either sit there and say, "Oh, damn, the hell with this. I'm never going to pick up a pencil again." Or you say, "All right, 999, 997, and that's it. You keep going."
Right. So do you warm up every day?
Yeah, I try to warm up in my sketchbook. It's almost like an athlete, who needs to stretch before a big game. So I think it's really important to. It helps you also, like when you're designing characters, you need to know every little facet of that character, every little chink in the armor, everything, every little detail. You need to know it all. And if you don't, and you just go on, cold onto the board, you're going to be like, it's going to be a nightmare. And I've done that too many times to know that I never want to be in that situation again because it's so frustrating.
So your character development, do you start out with a sketch?
Yeah, I start out with a sketch. I kind of envision in my head what these characters look like. It's almost like acting in a way. It's weird, especially when they're your babies.
Yeah.
Like you have to really like imagine like what is this character feeling, because however this character is feeling, whatever this thing is experiencing, that's going to be represented in the face. You know, so like, or even the dialogue that the character says. So you want to put yourself a little bit into like these situations mentally.
Right.
I don't know if it's healthy all the time, but hopefully it serves the story and the art, so you guys can
Especially
enjoy
Blood
it.
Realm.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
right.
some people will watch this and go, read the book and be like, "Woo, that's some ride."
We all have our demons, and
Yeah.
for me, Blood Realm was just a vehicle to just let out my, whatever I have going on. It's almost therapeutic for me.
I want to
So,
talk a little bit about the book without words, because when I
oh
talk
yeah,
about the
sure.
history of comics, I actually start out with scrolling on walls were the first comics without words, when
Yeah.
they were in caves and making paintings. I actually have a couple of copies right here. Got a little hand there. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There she is,
yeah,
little Maya.
little Maya. So tell us how you came about this. What brought you to this?
Sure. Well, this is actually the thing I did before Blood Realm when I was trying to figure out my voice. Believe it or not, I went for originally I wanted to be a art history professor, which ironically I do now, which is funny. It's funny how things come full circle. But I was studying to be an art history professor because I love history and I love art, and there was this cool thing where I get to learn about history through the pictures that mankind made, I thought was amazing. And as I was taking the courses, I saw that there was a course being offered. This was at Brooklyn College, by the way, with Bruce Deegan, who is the co-creator of the Magic School Bus, and he's the illustrator
Yeah.
of the Magic School Bus. So I was like, wow, I have to take this. I know the Magic School Bus. And during this time, I was so frustrated with my experience, my freelancing experience. I didn't know anything about contracts. I was getting screwed constantly. Horrible experiences.
Very,
At that
very
point,
common in the industry.
oh yeah, and also that's the big problem also with colleges and liberal arts schools. They don't properly teach you how to handle these situations. So basically, I went in there without armor. So it's imagine throwing a soldier into war without any armor or any weapons, and that's what it felt like. I was just getting destroyed, and so much so that I said, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm getting screwed left and right. I don't know what I'm doing. I thought I knew what I was doing. Everyone's lying to me because it's a funny thing in this industry. Some people don't want to be honest with you because they don't want the competition,
They
which
don't
is
want the competition.
terrible.
They don't want the bosses to find out that they helped you get a contract.
Yeah, yes, that too. Absolutely. So, and I found out later on, obviously, it's a very small industry. So after that, I was like, I'm done with drawing. And then I saw this course and I was like, you know what? Something about this is just bringing me back to the things I loved about drawing and making stories in the first place. Because as much as I loved Clash of the Titans growing up, I loved fantasy stories and children's book stories like Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. And I was also a big fan of Little Nemo by Winsor McCay. Winsor McCay, who Bruce Deegan introduced me to,
Oh, you got to meet him.
was oh yeah.
Oh,
Well,
fantastic.
not Winsor McCay, Bruce Deegan.
Yeah,
Winsor
yeah.
McCay died a long time ago, but it felt like just seeing his art for the first time was just absolutely unbelievable, and I knew I wanted to make something like that, that felt like classic new strip comics, but also was a children's book, you know. So I created Little Maya in that class. The idea was that, okay, there's no words in it, and the reason being there's no words is because that's how I read comics when I was a kid. I never actually read the captions or the speech bubbles. I kind of came up with a story in my head. So I thought it was good because in a weird way, because I didn't know who Doomsday was at the time. I kind of just made up a backstory. I just thought he looked cool, and I said, I don't know why they're fighting, but I'm going to look through the pictures and I'm going to come up with something. And sometimes I was disappointed, but sometimes I wasn't. So that was really the origin of it. And then what happened was, as I started to develop the story, I noticed that, wow, this really encourages kids to use their imagination, because while there's no words, the children can name the characters, imagine what the characters are saying and thinking, you know. And I think that's something that's really important in this age of, digital media, especially with the iPad and stuff like
Well, I'll tell you, we have been successful with it at our shop, and the parents
that. Really,
pretty much rave about it.
it's great.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's going to take a big. I think you might start to see. Hopefully, it gets around the area here. I'm gonna sell out of this case, and as soon as I can get back open, the case that I just got, we're gonna go through them. I guarantee it.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah, yeah. I think the toughest thing is it's comics too. The store has to put it in people's hands, and
Yes, I know.
there's so
I
much
know.
choice in our business that it takes the retailers to put it in a person's hand and say, "Look, trust
Without a
me,
doubt.
this is good." And that's
Yes.
what we try to do. Like we try to read as much as we can and
Mhm.
find those gems and
Yeah.
give them to people, because this is what, like, when people find something that they fall in love with in comics, it keeps them in comics, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like the dragon,
No matter where it comes from.
chasing it all the time. Yeah, well, no
Right.
matter where it comes from.
Right, and that's the thing. I think that's the way this industry needs to evolve, is that it has to get out of the catalog, if you know what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah.
We got to get our head out of the catalog and see, hey, what are people buying outside of this thing? And then that's how you draw them in, because uh, things are changing. Things are changing, and indies are. I think we're going to see a big rise in indie comics and indie books for sure.
Well, I think I agree to a point. I don't know if there'll be enough comic shops that you'll see
Well,
them
yeah, no, I
in,
don't. I do not think so
in
either.
a rise in indies. I think you're going to see a different way if they can figure out a way to keep the, bookstores and like convenience stores from pretty much cheating the system, saying that they didn't sell the book. That whole, like, you don't want them to ship it back because the cost of shipping it back is just exorbitant. So you give them credit, and now they can sell
Right.
it, and it's pretty much they had product for free.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's terrible. Well, yeah, that's one of the reasons.
I mean, it's
why,
not a sustainable.
well, that's one of the reasons why Alterna got out of the newsstand
Yeah.
business, because that's exactly what was happening.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened years ago when they left the convenience stores behind back then. That started to happen.
Yep.
But like, you can even see it. I don't know how long you've been collecting, but like, I would get collections with like a rack of comics from the 60s that had no top label, where they would rip it off, and then still, like, there was a grease mark on it, 5 cents, where they'd sell the book for 5 cents after they ripped the cover off and returned it. Right. So they didn't throw the books away. So this has been going on forever. Like, it ends up being free product if you don't accept back the returns.
Yep.
Now there's a shipping issue and a distribution issue of, do we send it back to the distributor? Do you send it back to the company? And where distribution is now. But for me, the important, I don't think any of it will go away because of the storytelling. I think as human beings, we crave the storytelling.
Oh, yeah. And we need escapism now more than ever. For sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was watching actually one of your interviews there, and you were talking about how you feel that there's going to be a lot of books coming out that are exactly the opposite. They're going to be telling stories about what's going on in today's world.
That's what's going to happen for sure.
I agree with you that that's not what's needed. It's kind of like, we get enough of that. That's what the news is for, right?
Exactly.
These stories are supposed to give us hope.
Right. And that's what happened that's why this stuff was invented in the 30s, was that people needed an escape out of the drudgery of the Great Depression. and these comics were like the light of the end of the tunnel. It was just a moment where they can just get out of that world. But because we live in the world right now where we're just inundated with media and news alerts and it's nonstop, we need the total opposite. We can't, people don't want to be preached to anymore. They don't want to be notified anymore. We just want to escape into a world that's not this world right
Right,
now.
right, right.
The break. We need
let
a
me tell you,
break.
Blood Realm is perfect for that.
Yeah, I know.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and the mix. I think the pacing that you have with the amount of dialogue you use to the art and to the paneling is really spot on, and it shows like how much work that you do put into that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's a tremendous amount of work. Uh, it's I can't even begin. So and it's painful too because you know there is this pain period because I get so excited about a story. I get so excited about dialogue, and then when it comes to making the comic and drawing it, it's just like this pain period. You just have to push through and get through it because not every page is going to flow perfect the way you want it. And then finally when it's done, it's like, yes, I could enjoy this again.
How many pieces of art have you made that you like totally were in love with and then had to take out of the story because it didn't fit?
Oh god, that happened. Sometimes I would be drawing and then I had something planned out and then I would realize, oh man, I would draw something new on a page and I'd be like, I can't do this anymore. Now I need to change the story because this idea is so much better. So I would scrap the last 2 pages I did and I'd be like, it's just vicious.
Yeah, it's the great thing of being both. Like some of the other people I've spoke to are writers, so they've been talking about how you have to, if you change the idea or the artist sends you something that sparks something new, then you have to and it's about the collaboration.
100%. Yeah. No, that's one thing. That's why I love having the control that I have because I know I would put an artist or a writer through hell. I know I would. It's just I get it. I get why Lucas was like, I'm doing this film when he first did the first Star Wars and he wanted creative control. Like I totally understand it. You have a vision and you have to understand that you're gonna have to make changes. And when it's on you, it's like, all right, I got to put myself through hell. But I would feel bad doing it if I had to put other people
through that hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you have planned for in the future, what you got going on.
Well, let's see. So I have about 3 more volumes now for Blood Realm I'm going to do. It was
Awesome.
originally going to be 5, but I guess I could share this here. I was just informed that Blood Realm hit about, I think it was just 25,000 comic sold.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah. That's fantastic from a small indie. That's a big number.
I was really moved and I couldn't believe it. When Peter shared the news, I was blown away. And
are you the best seller at Alternative?
Yes. Yeah, I'm fortunate that's the case. So
well,
fortunate.
I see you at all the cons and like you're it's not like you're not out there, which some people don't. They make it and they're like, oh, that's their reason. They gotta move it. You really are out there showing it to people. And so you're gonna have 6 volumes. And then you talked about doing like an omnibus of it. Is that what you're gonna do?
Yes.
All right. For Indiegogo campaign?
Yeah.
Slipcase.
I'm gonna do Indiegogo.
Yeah.
What was that?
You're gonna do a slipcase, the whole 9?
I'm gonna actually. All right. So here's the vision. Okay. So I can't wait for this because this is like what I wanted to do my whole life, and I'm gonna get a little art historian nerd here right now. Because
awesome. Bring it on.
One of my favorite works of art is the Book of Kells. I highly recommend you look at it. Yeah, it is this.
I'm Irish. I've seen it my whole life.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's right. That is like one of the things there's a lot of stuff I need to see. I want to see every Caravaggio painting in the world, but I need to see the Book of Kells because it is this unbelievably gorgeously illustrated religious manuscript. And I think it has all of the New Testament Gospels in there with all these lavish illustrations, gold gilding. I mean, it's just incredible. So I wanted something like that when you hold it, it's this ancient text. This medieval manuscript that has weight to it. I want to get like, the red what do you call the placeholder, like the
Yeah,
ribbon in there.
yeah, the ribbon and
Yeah,
the red ribbon.
I want to do the
I'll
whole
hit
nine
you up with the
yards.
place. There's a place here local, not too far in our county, in Orange County, in Newburgh, New York. Because I'm old, the name escapes me. It's like Hawk
That's all
Meadow
right.
or something like that. They hand make books.
Oh hell yeah.
They just did
Okay.
a Kickstarter for like a Poe book, like all of Poe's works, and you could get it leather
Oh,
bound.
cool.
Like they had different series and they do the whole marbled paper in the front. They do the
That
ribbon.
sounds awesome.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Oh,
The
hell
books
yeah.
are fantastic,
Hell yes.
and they're like a local business just making them for people like you.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, let me know. Let me know the info.
Absolutely.
But that ancient manuscript feel, and it's going to feel like it's a piece of the world.
Yeah.
Like instead of just some soft cover book or hardcover book, like the way this is going to be designed. Because Peter, Alterna, he's great, and he's letting me just. He believes in the creator's vision, and he's just like, listen, man, is this what you want to do? I support it. I'm down.
That's great.
And he's been up for everything, even where I took the story and everything. He's just like, wow, this is good. All right, man. He goes, as long as the readers love it, that's it. So I'm grateful that people are enjoying this crazy ride.
Now, I heard he announced that there would be no more prints of the first issue. Is that because of the giant?
No, he's going to be doing a full. So basically, all of the single issues, I think he only has like 3 left, except for the Giants. So all of those single issues are like sold out, and he wants to do a 4th printing.
Okay.
So, and they're going to be renumbered now. Like instead of miniseries, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Right.
and so on and so forth. So that's what he wants to do. So
Okay.
I think he may do a campaign for it or something like that, because Alterna has a really big fan base, dedicated fan base where people want this stuff and everything like that. So I'm sure he'll get that funded.
Yeah, and
he'll
a
do
growing
reprints.
fan base too.
Definitely growing. It's great. The fans have been just unbelievable and so kind and so supportive. I'm very fortunate. I really am. I'm really grateful that people are reading it and people are so kind, and they're following the YouTube channel that I'm doing, where I share like lore bits of the world and everything like that.
Man, I tell you what, I love like the music and the soundtrack, like listening to you read the comic. It is, I'm not even going to call it a guilty pleasure. It's plainly a pleasure. I love it.
Man.
I've watched every single one.
Thank you, Evan.
I spend a lot of time watching. I don't even watch regular television anymore. It's all about YouTube. So, but it's really good. And like I said, the pacing and the timing and everything, and it's great to watch. It's like watching a little animation. You remember the Lord of the Rings first animated?
Oh my God! Hell yeah! If you were there right now, I'd be giving you a fist pump, because that is the number one. That stuff, I loved those animated films. The Hobbit one blew my mind. When Smaug was animated.
They were just running the scenery in the back, like it stayed still, and just the scenery moved in the back.
Yes.
And then like all the like a lot of the extra characters were all just like black and white cutouts, or just like shadows.
The silhouettes.
Like making something like nowadays that would cost you like $10.50 to make a movie.
I know.
Or maybe even $1.99.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too. I want to get eventually Blood Realm in some kind of animated form, without a doubt. Obviously, live action would be cool, but let's be realistic. The budget for that would be through the roof.
Super suits a great like retro
animation.
feel.
I know.
Animated.
I want to do it. I really want to do it. But I think the thing is that what people don't understand is that you really got to build that fan base first, because it's a comic first, and that's the thing. I'm not here for the movie deal yet. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, let it earn it. Let it earn it itself.
Yeah.
That's the key. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming out and spending time with us. And
of course. It flew by.
It did. And we actually went over. But I mean, it was a really great interview. You really touched on a lot of stuff we wanted to talk about, as well as with not only with storytelling, but a little bit about the industry for anybody who's interested in getting into comics or storytelling. And we appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Sure. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube with the handle @Geronimo Draws. So you can find me there, and my website is robertgeronimo.com. I sell signed comics there. another little Blood Realm merchandise. And if you're interested in Little Maya, you can email me personally from my website, because I don't have those up there because I feel like it doesn't quite match with the horror.
the
Be a
horror
little weird,
theme. No, but anybody that's watching who has small kids, Little Maya, your kids will love it. Love it.
Thanks. Thank you, Evan.
All right,
Appreciate
take
it.
care, man.
Take care.
Yeah.